I'm not going to be a mule. I got something to do. I got to go do boom, boom, boom.
So what is this boom, boom, boom Biden is talking about? Perhaps it's about coming up with a final decision as to what to do with the student loan moratorium. Some politicians have expressed their opinion on this matter, hoping that Biden totally cancels all the student loans. So let's take a look at the latest record of student loans. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, student loans amount to a staggering nearly $1.6 trillion, and there are still a lot of things to take into account. This is a snapshot of the US student loans in 2020 and 2021. Commander Noto himself has got something to say pertaining to the student loan moratorium. SoFi took action and sent a letter addressed to Ambassador Susan Rice, no relation to Rice the food, unfortunately. Susan, the Director of Domestic Policy Council, regarding their recommendation on the student loan moratorium. Now, most of you probably know that SoFi started out as a company that refinances student loans, but the thing is, SoFi's products have already spread their wings so wide that it's still generating record-breaking revenue, even though the controversial student loan moratorium keeps on extending. In this video, we will go over the political drama that has been going around the student loan moratorium, what Sofi CEO Anthony Noto thinks about this, and how exactly this would affect SoFi as a whole, and how this affects you as the investor. Just a disclaimer though, we're not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice, so always do your own due diligence. For the Wealth Gambit OGs out there, heads up, our Patreon will be launched in less than 2 weeks, and it will come with a SoFi Investors private Discord, access to our research toolkit, and daily quotes in line with current market conditions to help you when you're panicking. Make sure to be on the lookout for any Patreon announcement, as we will only open it for a limited time before we close it temporarily. The student loan payment pause is about to end on May 1st.
Psych! That's the wrong number!
According to multiple sources, the Whitehouse will reportedly extend the payment pause through August. This means that students are once again set to resume their student loan repayments. Statistics show that around 44 million people are awaiting US President Biden's final decision on whether to extend the student loan payment pause or cancel the student loans altogether. Politicians, especially those in the Democratic Party, are quite alarmed about this.
Hey, are you gonna pay for that?
The chairman of the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, Senator Patty, to clarify, no relation to the Krabby Patty, unfortunately. Senator Patty had called on Biden to extend the student loan payment pause until 2023. A number of Democratic politicians have even sent a letter to President Biden encouraging him to cancel the $1.6 trillion student loan entirely. What are your thoughts on this? I know we all have horror stories about student loans, and we'd love to hear any stories you might have in the comment section down below. Anyways, in their letter, they argued that, quote, while the payment pause on federally held student loans has provided essential temporary relief to families, it does not permanently address the student loan crisis. Additionally, they said that, quote, canceling student debt is one of the most powerful ways to address racial and economic equality issues.
Really?
In SoFi's Twitter post, SoFi revealed that it has sent a letter to the Director of the Domestic Policy Council, Ambassador Susan Rice, stating their position on the student loan moratorium. SoFi's letter to Ambassador Susan Rice urges the current administration to tailor future payment pause extensions to those in severe hardships and distress. They suggest that moratorium shall continue until January 1st, 2023 for all loan borrowers who are unemployed and those who have annual incomes of less than $60K, and other than these two exceptions, all other borrowers shall resume payment on May 2nd, 2022. But now the White House will reportedly extend the payment pause through August. So how much money is this really saving? Let's ask the man, Joe Biden himself.
Well, folks, eliminate one tax loophole out of $1.6 trillion worth, $1.4 trillion worth. Out of $1.4 billion. It's hard to even say it, it's so much. And by the way, it's cost a lot of money. It cost about $740 billion over 10 years.
Alright, all jokes aside, here is SoFi CEO Anthony Noto's take on the student loan moratorium.
You know, it continues to waffle back and forth. An announcement was supposed to be made a couple of weeks ago, according to the chief of staff of President Biden. That date came and went, and we still haven't heard. This is classic leadership by indecision, and it's exactly not what the country needs. The American people deserve better. We need decisive leadership. We need the administration to take a stand. kicking the can down the road is not currently going to suit all the needs of the American people. There really needs to be a three-pronged approach, and that needs to be announced before May 1. Number one is there are people that are in distress and that would default on their loans if payments were to begin again. Those people should be given some type of relief. Otherwise, they're going to default and have to go into bankruptcy. There's a second group of people that have an ability to pay, but they have a lower ability to pay today than they did 2 years ago when this student loan moratorium started. And we've spent $150 billion, that's what it'd be, since March of 2020. And this isn't March of 2020 any longer, but some people have gone 2 years without paying their bills, and they're currently in a situation where they can't pay as much. And there needs to be put in place programs for them, and those programs already exist. They just need to be executed and communicated. And then last, there are people that are fully capable of paying the student loans, and they should begin repayment on May 1st. So it's very clear the three needs of the American people. What's not clear is what the administration is going to do to help the American people versus spending another $5 billion a month to fund unnecessarily the moratorium on federal student loan payments.
So what does this mean for SoFi? President Biden's indecision against this matter is causing a lot of trouble, especially in the stock market. At the time of recording this, if you take a look at the short interest in SoFi, it's currently around 23%. And no, that's no reference to Michael Jordan. Definitely not Michael Jackson either. So you know the shorts are definitely attacking. Investors are running away from companies that offer student loans as one of their products like SoFi. But is the student loan payment pause really going to affect SoFi big time?
I don't think so.
In their Q4 earnings call, SoFi's unpaid student loan balance amounted to around $50.5 million, which equates to only about 14% of their lending businesses' unpaid balances. And remember, lending is just a part of SoFi's businesses, and it has two other business segments that are bringing in revenues, which also means that the total cancellation of student loans might not affect SoFi as much as you think. As an investor, you should be more worried for yourself than for SoFi if the wide-scale student loan cancellation pushes through. The cancellation of student loan debt will take a huge toll on the education department. Why? They're going to lose more than $1.5 trillion to finance the next generation student loan, so they'll turn to the government for some assistance. And the money that will be assisting the education department will likely come from your tax dollars. But the good news is there isn't any wide-scale student loan cancellation in President Biden's proposed annual budget to Congress. The president has been vocal in canceling $10,000 worth of student loans for each, but not the entirety. Now the elephant in the room is, what about the people who couldn't go to college altogether because they just didn't have the money? Great question, and apparently them, right? Just kidding. Jokes aside though, we feel like if they were going to cancel student loans entirely, they should have said that years ago so that people who truly could not afford it could have gone too.
The answer is yes. That's why I proposed and the House, Nancy, put it in the plan to immediately provide $10,000 in debt relief as stimulus right now for students. A minimum of $10,000 relief. I've also proposed
But that's just our hot take on it. Currently, it looks like the extension is more likely to happen than total cancellation. Whitehouse Chief of Staff Ronald Klain, in his interview with Pod Save America last March, stated that the Biden administration is considering further pause while also exploring additional relief for student loan borrowers, including student loan forgiveness. On the other hand, the Department of Education, the government agency responsible for handling student loan repayment, had instructed its loan servicers last March to stop sending notifications to borrowers about the resume of repayment. So what does this all actually mean? Extending the student loan payment pause was one of Biden's promises when he ran for presidency in 2020. And it's interesting how right when the midterm election is just a couple months away, the Democrats are pushing to either cancel the entirety of the $1.6 trillion student loan debt or further extend the repayment. This seems like it has something more to do with political campaigning than really fixing the issue, in our opinion. We understand it's taboo for some people to talk politics, but we're just bringing you the facts, no printer. As Thomas Sowell once said, no one will really understand politics until they understand that politicians are not trying to solve a problem. They're trying to solve their own problem, of which getting elected and re-elected are number 1 and 2, and whatever is number 3 is far behind. While the resume of student loan repayment pause may have a huge impact in SoFi's lending businesses, it looks like SoFi as a whole would be just fine. As Commander Noto said in one of his interviews with Yahoo Finance,
Yeah, first, full disclosure, SoFi is in the business of student loans, so we get impacted by this indecision, but that's not the motivation. SoFi is going to be fine either way. We had record revenue in the third quarter. We had record revenue again in the fourth quarter. We achieved over $1 billion of revenue in all of 2021 and our first full year of profitability on an EBITDA basis, all while the federal student loan program has been on hold. The reason why we decided to take a leadership position is someone needs to lead from the front. Someone needs to be a voice of reason to the administration and help them understand the pain and suffering that they're causing by their indecision.
shout out to all of you who have commented Boxable is the future of housing in our videos. You're real ones. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us on our social media pages at Wealth Gambit. We post financial stuff and some dope financial memes. Thanks for watching. We greatly appreciate it. And until next time, peace.